Awesome. Looks like we're pretty much set up to go. So I'll introduce myself. My name's Robert, and I'm from Ventura County, California, and I teach middle school. And I've asked, have a little bit of experience with Evernote, but not a whole lot of experience with Evernote. So this year I'm hoping to try and get Evernote like set up as my lesson plan book. I'm actually not purchasing one, so hopefully somebody in the group here is and more of an expert than I am, and we can kind of work through that. So go ahead and introduce yourself. I'm going to mute my mic, and when you're not talking, if you could mute the mic, that way background noises aren't picked up. So go ahead, and I'll have somebody else introduce themselves.
I'll go ahead. I'm Allison Hutt from Chino, California, and I teach at a continuation high school, which is alternative ed. I teach science there, and I've been teaching there for over 20 years. And I use Evernote just more for personal stuff, not so much for school stuff yet. So I'm looking forward to finding out more.
Hi, my name is. Go ahead, Kelly.
No, that's fine. I'll wait.
Oh, my name is Jen Kraft. I am a K-6 elementary teacher, computers, in Pennsylvania, in a smallish district. There's about 1,100 kids in our K-6, 2 computer teachers. I have used Evernote before. I even have one of the moleskin notebooks that you can now use with Evernote to take notes in, because there's sometimes I just rather take the notes on paper. I haven't yet had anything to put in, but I'm hoping that soon will come up, and using Evernote as Planbook seemed like something that would be a good idea. So hopefully somebody has ideas.
Hi, I'm Kelly Christopherson. I'm actually trying to get my Google thing or my little thing down here at the bottom up so you can see who I am. I'm actually an administrator, and I teach all kinds of different things. I've been using Evernote for about 3 or 4 years now, and I have various tools that I use on my iPad that allows me to communicate with the various places and the various things that I do, and I actually use it with my vice principal, and we share notes back and forth, and I also use it with a couple of my other teachers to share information back and forth in notebooks. So I've been using it now for a couple of years, and I do use it for my planning. So that's kind of where I'm coming from.
Hi, Leah. We're introducing ourselves and just doing a little bit of that. Let's see, Kelly. The lower third on the under the Hangout toolbox, on the left-hand side of the Google Hangout screen. When you click on the Hangout toolbox, it's the first thing that pops up on the side. There you go. Now it's there. And all right. So who would like to? As I said, I don't really have a whole lot of experience using Evernote in the classroom. I mean, my wife and I use it. But I mean, this session, it's, as I said, one of the things I've been wanting to try and do is not purchase a plan book this year and just do it that way. So if anybody has any ideas and things that you want to just kind of throw out there, maybe helpful hints, how do you have your stuff set up? Do you share it with your students? All that sorts of fun stuff. That would be, I think, something that would be very useful for the whole group. Oops, looks like we just lost Kelly there. Anybody have any comments there? Everybody here has used Evernote, correct? The 3 that are here, yeah. Okay. Um, what capacity have you used it? And you'll have to make sure you unmute your mics when you want to talk.
I've used it just for organizing things after conferences and meetings. I love the fact that when I'm doing things in Evernote, I can search by location. So when I know, okay, I was at a conference in Philadelphia or Texas or California, it divides the notes by where I was, because sometimes it's like I have a great idea and I can't remember what I saved it as, what I tagged it as. I've never used it in the classroom, and that's something I did want to try to do this year. Same thing, saving paper and also sharing with the other teachers on my team.
Yeah, it's pretty cool how you can tag things and then you can search them. Some of the things that I've done, like this last year, we did. I teach middle school and middle school sciences, and for evolution, my kids, we did this haiku deck project, and I had everything written on the board, but I didn't really want to write it all, like type it all in, so I wound up actually just taking a picture and saving it in my Evernote. You there, Kelly?
Yeah, I actually just had to change devices. I've gone to my iPad because it looks like my laptop is frozen.
Uh,
So
yeah,
am I back
so
in?
yeah, there you go. So I mean, it sounds like you're kind of the one with the most experience using Evernote in the classroom. So maybe if you can kind of give us some of your feedback and ideas.
Okay, well, I use Evernote for planning. So what I do is I set up different notebooks in the Evernote, and then um, I basically use it as I import things like my unit plan or my plans into the notebook, and so then I can, from that, create links to things that I want to do. And so then, because I have a Google site where I um, use with my students, so what I'll do is I'll put all that stuff in my Evernote. So, with your EduClipper and various things like that, like I'll email information, and because I can drop it into notebooks, if I find something interesting online, that pertains to one of my classes or a video, I email it to that notebook, and then I can use that information to then put on my website or the Google site that I use with my kids. I also use it a lot with, there's a really cool app that you can get called AwesomeNote, and it allows you to view your Evernote notebooks and your calendar, so you can see everything that you're doing, and you can start cross-referencing things. So, for example, I use this AwesomeNote, and I put in all my due dates on my calendar. So then I can see all my due dates for all the things that my students have to hand in my various classes, and because they're done by notebook, they show up in different colors. I mean, if you take a look at the Awesome, you can see that it allows you to be able to access that information yeah, with your iCal or your GCal. You can make calendars for your different classes.
What was the name of that app that you used?
It's called AwesomeNote.
Awesome Note.
Yeah.
I put that in the. And is it on the iOS store, Android store? Is it a web app?
I use it with the iOS store or with my Mac stuff. I don't know if it's in the Android store or not because I've never been there. But you can go to the iOS store. There's a free version and a paid version. start out with the free version, and that'll give you some information that you can use, and you can start get familiar with it. And then if you think it's going to work for you, you can pay. I think it's $4.99. You can sometimes get it for 99 cents, but I use it with all the things, because I use it to organize my entire life. I use it for like not just my school stuff, but also my my admin stuff. So I use it to organize meetings that are coming up and taking notes and things like that. And I also use it to I haven't used it for student portfolios because we do an e-portfolio using Google Sites, but I have used it to ship or to send stuff to my Google site that my students use in their class. So it allows you to do those kind of things also, kind of the same way that Google Apps or Evernote does, but it's a more robust platform because you can, your calendar is there. If I could screen share my iPad, I'd show it to you.
Okay. Now, are you a premium Evernote user, or are you doing all this stuff for free?
I do all this stuff for free. The only app I paid for is the Awesome Note, and that's just because it allowed me to do more things. But I use the free version of Evernote.
I did put I hope I spelled it right in the chat bar. On the right-hand side of the Hangout, I put Awesome Note in there as well, so you can utilize this for kind of back channel type stuff. You share your documents with your vice principal as well?
Yeah, what we do is we just share back and forth. We share a folder, and so we've used it for sharing information back and forth about upcoming meetings and various things that we're working on at the school level. And so we just have a folder where we share things back and forth. And then I can do it. He doesn't have to be in his office, or I can send him a document that we're working on, and it's because it's private. We just share it back and forth. I mean, you can do the same with Google Docs.
Yeah.
It's just it puts everything in one place, and that's what I like. Like, I don't have various things that I'm trying to remember where I put things. I tend to put everything, or the links to everything, even the Google Docs that we're using, in the Evernote.
So what do you think is the advantage for using Evernote instead of Google Docs for all your planning?
Now I got two things open, just a second. The thing that I like about the Evernote is that it puts everything in one place, so I don't have to worry about where I've put everything, and I've over time started to make sure that I have all my stuff in a folder or in subfolders within that folder. So, for example, if I'm teaching this last year, I taught an ed psych class and a social studies class. And so I made folders with all my units, with my assignments, and then I put, because I would show videos, I would put links to the videos in there. So I wasn't trying to remember or find anything. Everything was in one place. And I just, over time, I've just started to just use it as the thing that I go to. It's kind of like when people use, like you see people who use live binders or who use various things like that. It's the one platform that I've decided that I'm going to invest time in, so that I can keep everything in one spot.
No, totally. And live binders, I've kind of looked a little bit at that one. I was, contemplating, okay, do I invest my time into Evernote? Do I invest my time into live binders? And I've kind of decided I think Evernote is the way that I'm gonna look at going. So I just am not quite sure because your typical lesson plan book is day by day. So it sounds like you can do that and you can set that up, but it may be more better unit based. I don't know. Help me talk through that one.
I have folders for every unit, and I drop in resources. When I'm outlining plans, I do that on the unit basis, but it's not something that I've done as a day-to-day plan book yet.
Well, if you have it tied to a calendar, like Kelly was saying, then couldn't you, I don't know, can you coordinate it so you have like links from the calendar, hey, this is what's happening today, and then it goes to the Evernote note or document, whatever it is, in your Evernote, and that's the lesson plan? I don't know. Can you do that kind of a thing, or is that what you'd want to do?
Is this something that you want the kids to see, or is this just for you and your other teacher partners? Like, it could be a lot of different things. I know because I teach K to 6 and I teach all of my kindergarten classes the same thing, I sometimes I had been writing down like exactly what I accomplished, so I knew where I was at with each class, and that could be done in Evernote for sure, but I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah, you can share it with your students, but I believe don't the students have to have individual Evernote accounts themselves, or can you just share a quote unquote folder to that Evernote account or to that Evernote notebook?
That I'm not sure about. Last year I took an iPad class during the summer, and we had tried to problem solve that, and I don't think we ever really came up with something that worked.
At Q last year, I went to an Evernote session, and I'm gonna see if I'll find um, the lady that I went to the session on. Q is the Computer Using Educators. I believe it's based out of here in California. Their fall conference is in October in Napa, and then the annual conference is in Palm Springs. But there was a lady who was like Evernote whatever, like head whatever, and she's just super Evernote lady, and she had a lot of cool tools. So let me see if I can find that address for you, and I'll post that in the group chat. Do we have any other comments? Any other ideas? Does anybody use Evernote with their students?
My students have the option to have an account. We're BYOT, so there's no one set way to do things. It is something that we present to them as an option. So students use Google Docs, Evernote. Some just want pencil and paper.
Anybody else?
You know, our district uses School Fusion, which is like this mega environment, and I know that the students I've used it some. The students have their own email accounts. They can send things back and forth to the teacher. I can post things on the class page that kids can access, that teachers can access, and I mean parents can access. And it seems to me that I know the district puts out a lot of money for this kind of thing, and it sounds like some of these free options are available that do exactly the same thing, you know, communicating with kids, having things they can access, sharing things back and forth, and that really some of those mega programs that districts pay a lot of money for aren't even needed anymore.
See it.
Can you see that, or is the glare too much? I'm gonna back it up. That's the Evernote. That's what it, or the Awesome Note. That's what it looks like. So you can see the calendar with my different units, and then on the bottom you can see that there's notebooks, pages for the topics. So then when I put in the way that I have it set up, I can send it to the calendar that I share with my students, and so due dates show up in the calendar. I'm just going to see if I can go back and find a calendar that where it shows the due dates.
All right, so I'm gonna post a link in the chat, and there's a whole bunch of training. There's a whole bunch of training stuff. The lady that I went to, her name was Leslie Fisher, and she's like a super Evernote geek. No disrespect in that terminology whatsoever. Very amazing presentation. The room was standing room only. But on that link there, you'll see a whole list of presentation handouts and slides, things that she's done, and she has the Evernote one, and I'm not sure if it's the same one from the Q conference that I went to. I imagine it's probably pretty similar, and there's a bunch of different slides of things that you can do with Evernote. It's not necessarily for the lesson planning per se, I would think, though a lot of those things can be incorporated in the lesson planning. But just, she was dynamic. I can't say enough about my head was pounding when I left that session. And I will tweet that out. Okay. Any other comments, things that might be useful, things that you've done, things that you'd like to try to do?
Well, I know with the Evernote or with the Awesome Note, I can get it to send specific things that I want to have happen, so I can get it to send me a reminder on a specific day. And so, for example, if I have a meeting coming up or a due date coming up, then what I do is, I set the date in my calendar. It allows me to use my iCal kind of reminder thing, and it'll shoot forward a reminder to me, so I can send it to an email address, or I can have it pop up that I need to get something done. And I use that, and I wish I could screenshot this and show it to you, but that is my to-dos. So every month I have a set of to-do lists that I have on my Awesome Note, and then what I do is I have the reminders send me stuff, or send me a reminder when I need to do things. And so as I've learned to integrate that,
Did we lose him? It looks like we just lost Kelly. It looks like that one kind of ties directly into Evernote, the platform itself. Another one is Wunderlist, Wunderlist, and that is another to-do app. It does not necessarily, I don't think it ties directly into Evernote, but it is another one that I have been using for my to-do list. But I don't use that with the students. We use Schoology. I've used Edmodo, and Edmodo and Schoology both have in their platforms, they have tasks lists that we use. Any other Any other comments? Pretty quiet group here. Looks like Kelly may have found his way back in. Allison, I can't see your Twitter name. What is that?
It is at Emily Mom. I'm sorry, EMLYMOM.
EML.
There's no I in there.
Yeah. I'm going through and populating my PLN.
Yes.
I just stuck the link up for the Evernote trunk, and that's kind of the apps and some how-tos and stuff that go along with Evernote that are tied in. So I don't know if you want to look there and see what sorts of things are there that have actually been developed to work with Evernote.
Yeah, I use my wife and I use the food Evernote app, Evernote Food or whatever it's called. We've used that one, and then I also have started to kind of use the Evernote Contact one, Evernote Hello. I've started to kind of use that one as well for business cards and when I meet people and stuff like that. Let's see. It looks keeping track. So Annie, it looks like you're muted. So Kelly, you there?
Yeah, I'm back.
Looks
Can you
like
hear me?
Yeah. Nice Disney shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you. I actually ran I don't know if you can see that, but I ran the 5K with my 18-year-old daughter this past year. So, and just so that you know, I use the Evernote quite a bit. I've got 8 kids, and so my wife adds things to the calendar, and so as I try and track all the things that are going on, it's great. I actually have a folder for my one daughter. She's over in France, and so I keep track of all the different things that she's doing.
Nice.
and things she's posting. So it's not just something that I use for school. I use it for, it's basically my organizational tool that I use, and as I've used it over these last couple of years, I just keep learning different things that I can do with it that allow me to kind of cut down on the number of tools I use. So I'm not trying to add something new to it, and so I'd really like to see I have a number of staff who were introduced to Evernote and who use it, and I actually have a teacher who's going to use it this year as part of her portfolios to introduce it and use it with the kids to develop their online portfolios instead of a blogging site. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm contemplating setting up we're gonna try and do digital portfolios this school year, and there's just so many options. You just don't know which one is going to be the best one, and
well, I know
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I met a teacher up here in Ventura County that is an Evernote junkie as well, and he shares everything out with his kids and all that fun stuff. So, I mean, that was pretty cool to see. I kind of took a look at some of his stuff as well.
Yeah. I know we actually use an e-portfolio. We do an e-portfolio. We're a K to 12 school, and we do an e-portfolio for every kid in our school. And we use Google Sites just because it allows more options for, and it's easier for us to manage uploading and troubleshooting and various things like that. But having said that, I think that Evernote, if you were to work with a class, would work just as easily as sharing out with a class as a Google site does.
So what are the extra benefits of using, well, I guess maybe I can see a little bit, the extra benefits of using Evernote as opposed to just Dropbox. Dropbox would be just sharing, but Evernote, I guess there's more things you can do with it. What do you guys think about that comparison?
I use my Evernote to share specific links from my Dropbox. So Dropbox for me just holds information, whereas Evernote allows me to organize that information in, so if I have notes or if I have various things like that I want to share, I can share the Dropbox thing, but then in Evernote I can put it in a specific place. So for example, if I have stuff that I'm sharing with my vice principal, I put that link to the Dropbox in a note to him so that I can go back and find it, and we can, if we're doing things, or I can also collate things. So if I have, I'll give you an example. I use videos in my social studies class, and we were studying in a couple of were Daniel Pink videos. So what I did is that I had a link to the video from my YouTube, and then I had a link from Dropbox to the organizational sheet that I had the students use, and they were all in the folder for that particular lesson. And so what I did is that I set the lessons up how I wanted things to happen, and then I put the links in, so then I could just open them up in class. And because in the school that we have, our classrooms have air server, what I did was I just opened a YouTube up. I showed the YouTube, and then I'd already shared the link to the Dropbox questionnaire thing with my students, so they already had that. So because a lot of our kids do I print it off too, but a lot of our kids just edit it on their own devices, and so as they're watching the video, they're filling this stuff in. But for me, it's all in one place. It's all organized in, as I was showing you, my Social 30 Unit 3 kind of setup.
So it sounds like you kind of use your Evernote, instead of like emailing things back and forth, you just have things set up with different people, and you say, okay, and then doesn't Evernote tell you when something's new?
Yep.
So instead of emailing, it sounds like you just kind of use Evernote for that, in that regard.
In some cases, like specifically if I'm working with a person, so if I'm working with vice principal or our special ed teacher, that's where I use that. I don't use it I only have 3 or 4 people that I use that for, and I don't share it with I don't share it with my students. I'll share a document on the Google site that I have set up with for the class, but I'll have that information all in my Evernote notebook in that page for the stuff that I'm doing.
Yeah, with so many tools out there and things that are available, like Dropbox, I don't take any files home. I don't do, with Schoology and Edmodo now, with papers and grading and the paperless side of things, I don't I just basically walk out of my classroom with my car keys. I don't need to have all this extra stuff. And with our textbooks being online, all our stuff is available out there in the interweb.
Do you? I know I use markup and something called Notability for anybody. Like, so if my students are handing stuff in, I don't actually take the paper in. I take I take a picture of it, and I use something called markup to actually mark it, and then I just email it back to them. Does anybody use that?
No, we're a Google Apps for Ed school. So, like in my situation, most of my stuff is done via Google Docs, and so my kids will share items with me, and then I can grade it. Jen Roberts posted a pretty awesome thing about a script or an add-in that you can do actually voice recording with Google Docs, and that's something new that I've kind of looked at a little bit and haven't done a whole lot with as well. But we're Google Docs pretty much.
So so what is that? It's Google app for
Yeah,
education.
it's part of the Apps for Education suite. And you create forms. So like I've created a form, and then the kids can go in and put information into the form. They basically you want the link, and as long as you can edit, view, comment, you want that link. And so instead of having them send emails, and this is something thing that I learned last year was because the emails just get overwhelming, and so instead of having them share via email, I just have them post a link in there, and then I don't have to worry about the emails.
Yeah.
And you could do view-only folders and all sorts of stuff. There's some scripts I'm actually looking at with Google Forms, Doctopus and Flubaroo, that will help, I think, make that a little bit easier. G-Class folders is another one. There.
I've heard of all of those. I mean, they've been mentioned. We're not big enough. Like, I mean, I'm in a school, a K-12 school with 260 students, K-12. And so the number of students that I deal with is not as much as somebody who's in a school with 500, 1,000, 1,500 students. So I think that really depends on the environment that you're in. So it's a case of what works in one place.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I completely agree with that. Allison Gaff is Google Apps for Education, and you can go to if you just go to a Google search, you can just type in Google Apps for Education. You create your own domain, and then you can set it up. I just use we're K-8, but I just use Google Apps in my 6, 7, and 8. I basically went rogue when I set all my stuff up, and didn't really have anybody's permission. Just kind of did it, and going rogue was the way to go. It's better to, in my opinion, ask questions later. Ask for forgiveness later. But see, we just went 1-to-1, and so all our kids have to sign a 1-to-1 laptop. So all our kids have to sign a acceptable use policy, and the parents as well. What time is this session supposed to end? Does anybody know? I think. $11:50. Oh wow. Time flies when you're having fun, I guess. So I guess it's 11:53 now. So I want to thank everyone for coming, and Kelly, just thank you for kind of taking the reins on your expertise with Evernote.
Well, I'm not an expert. I'm just a guy who stumbled along trying to figure things out.
And I think that's kind of what we all are. So my Twitter hashtag, my Twitter name is right there. So if you have questions or other things that you want to ask, you can send me things there. And I think I'm going to go ahead and end this. I want to thank everybody for coming, and we'll head back to the other page, the EdcampHOME page.